As we were going down the mountain, Mike and I were roped together with about 50 feet of rope, as we had been for 3.5 days and nights. I was going on the front. Mike was up above me a little bit, back behind me, upslope as we're descending. And so as we're going down, what we do is we use our ice axes and we probe at the snow. We push it into the snow, and if it feels solid and sounds solid, then we know it's a solid piece of ground. We can step onto it. So we probe and then step, and then probe and then step. And I stepped off the trail to go around an obvious crevasse to the left. And when I stepped off to go around that obvious crevasse, I probed, and the snow was just about 2 feet thick, about the length of this axe. And it felt solid, but when I stepped onto it, it started collapsing under my foot. And I sank in up to my ankle, which was normal. I figured I'm just in a little bit of soft snow. And then it sank in up to my shin, which is deeper than normal. I thought, well, maybe it's just kind of soft in this one spot. It'll solidify and firm up under my foot. But it didn't solidify, it didn't firm up. I started picking up speed. And that's when I realized I was standing no longer on a solid glacier, but a big snow bridge spanning across a hidden crevasse. When I fell, the big factor was Mike was slowing me down for the first 50 feet of my fall, because he was laying down on his stomach, digging his ice axe into the snow, trying to arrest my fall or stop my fall. So he slowed me down, then I free fell the last 30 feet or so. And when I landed, my pack was just the right size and shape to wedge between the two ice walls, and it kind of cushioned my landing. So I sort of survived a lesser fall that way, and Mike fell with a greater force because there was no one to slow down his fall. I had some trouble getting over the lip because it was so rotten, and I almost tumbled in backwards and almost had to do sort of a blind leap of faith of setting my axes in. But I looked out and I realized I was out, and I looked up and I could see the sun and I could see the blue sky. I just said it once, I'm alive, and then I said it the second time even louder, and as soon as it came out of me the second time, I'm alive, I just overcome with the emotion. It just kind of welled up all the stuff that I'd been keeping in for 6 hours, trying to keep in control so that I could do what had to be done. I just started talking out loud really fast, mostly talking to Mike, telling him how sad I was that I couldn't bring him out. And then I realized I had to still sort of regroup because I was in the middle of the glacier, wet, cold, bleeding, alone with no gear, and nobody knew I was there, and the sun's going down in a couple hours, so I had to figure out what to do and how to get some help and get off the glacier. Before the accident, if you'd asked me, could I have climbed up an overhanging ice wall with minimal gear, I would have said no. I mean, I'm a good climber and I'll give it a good try, but no, I couldn't do that. And if you'd asked my friend and partner Mike, could Jim have climbed up this overhanging ice wall, I'm real certain Mike would have said, Jim? Oh, he's a good climber, and he would have given it a good try, but no, you know, almost nobody can climb up a wall like that given that gear and given that situation. And yet when the time came, I was able to. Everybody deals with sadness and difficulties and grief in their own way. And I don't have a prescription for others and how to deal with their grief. Mine changed with time. At first there was a lot of sadness, and I had to struggle to accept it. And then there was some doubt about why am I still here and what am I supposed to do with my life now. And it took, you know, the better part of a decade, 11 years really, till I got to the position where I could feel comfortable enough to share it with other people. And yet even still, the first few times I was scared to do that. Immediately after the accident, I did feel like I was living for both of us. I mean, when I went to the lodge 2 days later, and when I decided to get a beer, I went and I ordered 2 beers, one for me and one for Mike, and I drank them both. And I did that for a while, and I thought I kind of have to carry on for both of us, much like after Mike had died in the crevasse. He had done everything he could when he was trying to slow me down, and he did all he could for the team. And then when it was my turn to try and climb up that overhanging ice wall, it was my turn to do all I could for the team. When the accident happened and I was scared away from the mountains, I thought, well, do I want to go back? So I basically, for me, I backed up and started over. I did simple hikes and harder hikes. Easy rock climbing and harder rock climbing. When I'm on a summit ridge somewhere in South America, 20,000 feet, and the weather's perfect, and we can see the summit's just a half an hour ahead, and suddenly I get to that point where I'm no longer in doubt, but quite certain that myself and my partner is going to make it. It's just, you know, you can feel the excitement, you can feel the magical energy. I very much feel Mike's presence then, and I consciously reach out to him in my mind and from my heart and say, look at this beautiful ridge, man, we're going to make it. We're going to make the top of this mountain. And so I think of him at those times, and also sometimes when I'm in a difficult situation, I'm leading a pitch of rock or pitch of ice and I'm scared, or the storm's coming in. Occasionally I'll reach out a little bit and ask him for a little support or a little power. You know, watch me, Mike, we've got to get up this pitch before the storm hits. His presence just comes up over and over again. At the 1-year anniversary after the accident, I went to the mountains and I went hiking alone, and I thought a lot about the loss of my friend Mike, and there was a lot of pain that first year. And eventually, over a couple of years, it changed over to that instead of remembering that day with sadness, it was instead to honor the good, the fun, the joy. So now on June 21st each year, I go out climbing with other friends. We go to a place that Mike loved, and we go climb there, and we tell some old funny stories about being Mike's friend and doing things with him. And then we have a beer at the end of the day, and we call it honoring the day. It's not just remembering the day of June 21st, it's honoring the day and what Mike stood for, trying to live life to the fullest and enjoying nature and our ability to move through it.